show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings, and of course to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
All right, welcome to episode 300. We are 300 episodes in, man. It feels like a lifetime, and I didn't think I would get this far or when I would get to it, but we're here.
How long did it take us to hit 300? When did this whole start?
We launched September 2nd, 2021.
September 2nd. Dang, so it's just been over a year. I was thinking like the inception of HiveMind, right, which is about 22, 23 months.
No.
But the podcast has only been around for, what, 14 months?
14 months.
300 episodes, man. Yeah, I hope that the listeners that are here with us have been getting a lot of value out of this podcast. I got to be honest, when we first started and Daniel wanted us to start a podcast, I was like, no, dude, like, man, I got other stuff to do. I still had my construction company up and running, so I was very pressed for time between real estate. So I didn't want more meetings, I didn't want to have more bookings in my schedule. I like to leave my schedule very open. I know that's the opposite for a lot of entrepreneurs, but I like to have that flexibility. But I really got to give Daniel the credit because this has been one of the biggest blessings, one of the biggest lead sources, one of the best connection sources that we could have possibly done. I'm a paid traffic guy, right? So I've been running marketing for almost 15 years, and I just pay for traffic, and it comes in, and it's worked amazing for 15 years. But I got to say, it was a genius move on your part, man, to launch the podcast and everything that it's brought with it. It's been nothing short of amazing so far.
It's been cool having great conversations with pretty cool people, man. And you don't like a lot of the guests. Sometimes I've never even talked to them before, and we're just having to hear a conversation, and it shows that you can learn a lot from random strangers, and it just takes the conversation to squeeze that out of that. So it's kind of cool having random conversations, and you guys listening to it.
Yeah, we really want to thank the audience for all of your support. We just saw right now that it's going to be funny looking back on this video when we move forward, but we just got notified that we were top 22% on Spotify. Our views are going crazy. Downloads are starting to really ramp up. But we want to thank you guys, the audience, the listeners, you spending time listening to us and participating. It does mean a lot. It's hard for us to touch everybody individually, but if you're taking the information and it's benefiting you and your family and your friends, we would love to hear from you. If you're seeing progress based on stuff you've learned on this show, we would like to have a conversation with you, possibly get you on the podcast. And that was the whole point of this thing in the first place, was to have those conversations. One thing I wanted to point out when you said that right now, I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. It seems to be heading right to that 1 hour mark when you're having a conversation with somebody where you start to go really deep and the conversation's starting to get really good. It has been really enjoyable, man, because you get to meet people at a different level. Like, you're not having 1 hour conversations with a lot of your business contacts or other people in business. So that's been enlightening. And then something else we've talked about before on other podcasts is that you learn a lot, right? And what are you going to do to capture a mentor, like somebody that's super, super busy that otherwise wouldn't have time to spend an hour on the phone with you? Having access to a podcast has allowed us to get like top tier mentorship from some really amazing souls. And we're just grateful that they wanted to spend an hour with us. And we've hoped to relay that information and content to you guys.
And what it really is the amplification of time. Like, I literally went to lunch with a friend of mine yesterday, and he was like, I do an hour of cold calling, and that's all I get out of this. And you do an hour of podcasting, and it's replicatable and repeatable. And that's the really amplification of podcasting. And I hope, like, me and Anthony, we got an email from YouTube yesterday saying we had 123,000 minutes streamed just on YouTube alone, not including all the podcast platforms or nothing like that, just YouTube. So it really shows the amplification and power of us just having these conversations, and instead of us having wasting that 1 hour, not that we wasted an hour, but we have a 1 hour conversation and it's gone. Now we have a 1 hour conversation and it's there forever. So it's really the amplification of time. And that's really cool.
Yeah, that's been another thing. Like I said, just from like the marketing aspect and the branding. So something I wanted to mention, maybe we don't usually mention this publicly, but if you've been watching our podcast, listening to these episodes thus far, then we'll let you in on a little secret. It's pretty cool that when some people reach out to us, they're so used to, like, they'll have already watched a ton of videos or listened to a ton of podcasts, and they're already kind of bought in, to the brand and to our method of doing real estate. So, to
Even
me,
our mission too.
yeah. So we're going to do a lot to step it up next year, to like kind of lay out the mission a little bit better, to let people know how they can participate and how they can go to the moon with us. So if there's any doubt in your mind about what the Hive Mind is doing and the approach we're taking, this is not traditional real estate. This is not a traditional investment company. What we're doing is really out of this world. I'll give you an example. I had a guy call me back probably like in March or April, and he says, "Hey, I got about $700,000 I want to invest. Like, what do you guys have?" And I kind of didn't have a deal for him at the time, because we've been doing a lot of like seller finance and creative stuff where we're not really too capital heavy. We don't have a very strong need for capital, which is amazing for us because it never leaves us over leveraged. But I called him yesterday and I said, "Hey, are you so interested in investing?" He said, "Of course." I laid out a couple of deals that we're doing, and he was like, "Man, this is unheard of." He was like, "This just sounds too good to be true." He was like, "Those kind of returns are," he goes, "it's just, they're not realistic." He's like, "Nobody's doing that." And I'm like, been doing it for 4 years, man. So to talk to a seasoned investor that has access to plenty of capital, to hear him tell us, like, I still feel like we're new kids, even though we're 4 years in, that what we're doing is like so far out of this world that it just doesn't make sense. It made me feel really good. It made me just feel kind of like, I mention this all the time, because if you know Daniel and myself personally, you know that we're super, super humble guys. Like, we're just kind of, like I said, like two kids just trying to figure stuff out. But it made me feel pretty excited, because I just thought, like, even seasoned investors that are highly seasoned see what we're doing and they're like, "This doesn't make sense. Like, you guys are nuts." But it's just a combination of everything that we do, large land, subdivides, creative. Like, we're doing the same thing that like Pace and those kinds of communities are doing. Sub2, shout out to Pace and those guys, Jamil. We love those guys. But it's like we're doing the exact same thing they're doing, but we're not trying to capture houses, right? We're trying to capture these multi-million-dollar ranches. So just a weird little unique niche that we got ourselves involved in. And like I said, it's just, I'm proud to be doing it. And I want to talk about that too, if we can cut into that here in a little bit, about why we started Hive Mind and how we led up to this moment.
Yeah, and like I said, everybody else, like, "How'd you get into this?" And we kind of fell into it. Like, it wasn't like a guided path, or like everything that we teach and talk about was all learned through self-discovery. It wasn't like somebody like, "Hey, do this, that, and this will happen." It was all through self-discovery, and we kind of ended up here. And it's kind of been an interesting journey, even going down this path, where it's led us to, and everything we've learned over like the last like 18 months has been ridiculous.
I think that's what makes us so dangerous, is that we don't have any like a sense of that like proudness, like we're, "Oh, it's all me, it's all me." Like, we've just made contact with so many good people. Like Daniel said, like, we just kind of learn just by doing, by hitting our head on stuff, making ourselves look dumb, putting ourselves into deals that, that were very unorthodox and we kind of didn't know what to do with. So just trying to just cut our way through it. And now looking at it, you say, "Oh man, these guys are geniuses." But it's like, man, we're just trying to figure our way through it like everybody else. But it has been a heck of a journey. I think Hive Mind's done so well because the original intent behind it was we were doing these nice land deals that nobody else was paying attention to or not really talking about anyway. And people started, I would like comment in groups like, "Hey, you should do this. Hey, you should try this." And just because I love helping people, I've always been like that. I went to college and I took radiology and physiology for 2.5 years, like quite a few semesters, aced everything. But I remember, like, when lecture was over or the class was over, I would teach my table, right? So these science classes, there's like 4 people at a table or 6 people at a table. I would teach the people what the professor just taught, because it would help me learn. And I just like to see other people win. So everybody's scratching their heads. They're like, "What the heck is he talking about? I got lost. I got confused." And I'm like, "Look, let me break it down for you a different way." So I kind of started doing the same thing in real estate as I started to get more progress and I got better. And I started getting inbox messages on Facebook Messenger. And people were like, hey, I saw you post in this group. You sound like you know what you're talking about. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And randomly, I'm just texting people back. Like, hey, yeah, heck yeah, try this, do this, try this, try that. Never thought twice about, anything else except other than just helping people. It doesn't take me but a few minutes to fire messages back at people. And they started bringing back deals. We've talked about this before on other podcasts and Clubhouse, but people started bringing deals back to us like, hey, I got this really cool deal. Can you guys take a look at this? Can you take a look at this? And they kind of gave me the idea and the inspiration that if we helped enough people get what they want, right, then we would get what we want. So we created HiveMind organically, right, based on that concept and that model. But what if we could teach people out there how to find these amazing deals, how to find these one-of-a-kind deals at scale? Right. And that was your original intent behind it. But it started like from a stage of purity, like, right. Even though that was the intention and the goal from a business standpoint, we weren't doing it just to like help ourselves. We were just trying to help other people. And now I would say 22, 23 months later, since HiveMind was launched, the machine is running at full scale. I just wanted to update everybody that listens to this podcast and that's been following our journey. The machine is running at full scale. We're getting leads in such high volume that it's even hard to keep up with. So we're having to build systems to intake those leads, underwrite them, and then figure out what the next step is with those. And then for the last 90 to 120 days since we've launched the $1 million mastermind, we've been getting $1 million deals every single day, or leads anyhow. So it's led up to a lot of cool stuff. I want to say we've locked up somewhere between like 8 and 10 million in the last like 90 days. The reason I give a spread in there is because some of them are still in the negotiations, but they're as good as done. They're just not inked yet. And we have another couple million in the pipeline, so it's pretty cool to think about that such a little idea and a small company, with two guys that are fairly new at real estate, just based on projections where this thing is headed, man, the future looks very, very amazing. And I'm glad that the people that listen to this podcast and that are in the HiveMind community are coming along for the ride.
One thing I do want to mention too is that the reason why we did this is because the more we teach, the better we come at the product. So most people don't have the opportunity to talk to high intelligent sellers very often. And by us doing this, we get to talk to them almost weekly or daily, And then even today, we sent out literally contract just went out today. We're locking up a 600K lot for 300.
And it's cool because those deals are starting to become more and more frequent, right? So again, they're pretty hard to find deals, not going to lie, right? You're not just going to come on board and find 10 of them in a week, but by us teaching people how to find them, they're starting to come to us more frequently, yep. Right? And in exchange, you learn what those deals look like, right? Because we help you underwrite it and analyze it. And then hopefully in the future, you'll start to get in front of more of those types of deals as well. Yep. So it is pretty cool to have these deals in the pipeline. There's a spreads for $1 million, spread for $2 million, spread for 400, 500, 700. It's pretty cool to think about that. We went from just flipping whatever we could find, infill lots, mobile homes, to now every deal starting to look like 500 and up because we know how to identify them. We know where to look. Oh, and then here's another thing. Right now, we're in pretty much heading head first into a recession. So one of the main things we've been seeing on social media is all of the big time gurus, and I say guru respectfully because we love a lot of these people. They're saying that oh, the numbers are different now. Sales aren't happening the same way. Whoever says that is not telling the truth. And I'm like, dude, how many ranches have we locked up on the sell side and the buy side in the last 30 days alone? I mean, our ranches are still flying off the shelf right now. People putting in non-refundable deposits. So I don't know that it's going to sustain all the way through the recession. People are saying it could be 2 years. It could be 5 years. I don't know. But for right now, I mean, we're still flying, dude. I'll be shocked if we hit a slowdown because the way things have been moving right now and this much uncertainty and fear in the market and the interest rates, this is amazing, dude. This is crazy. Crazy to think about.
So this is something John Alexander said. John Alexander, one of our people he's one of our people that have been helping us out in the beginnings for a long time. He said that the lower, especially in land, the smaller the lot, smaller price point, those get affected heavily by the recession. And he said the larger lots don't get as much of that feedback from the recession side of it. So I think we're really playing in a safe spot that isn't necessarily being affected as heavily as other sectors.
So let's give away some of the hot sauce right now. Okay. One reason we go after these big ranches is because a lot of times the sellers don't exactly need the capital, so they're not in a hurry. Some of these ranches are slow movers, right? So they're kind of deals that take a long time. But if the seller's willing to grant you a long time and give you lots of time on the closing side, that helps us in the meantime to find buyers. So the reason that I think we've done so well is because something that we've realized from doing this long enough is that the buyers that are buying these like 10-acre ranches or 20-acre ranches, they're not really hurting for capital, right? These are guys that have been saving this money for years and years and years. Like they didn't just wake up last Saturday and say, "Dang, I need to go buy a ranch." Like these people have, it's been on their mind for a long time. They do have access to the capital, and they're not really going to banks. Honestly, we don't even know what the bank rates are right now. You're seeing a lot of that on Facebook. If you follow a lot of real estate people, they're talking about like what the interest rates are and how that's affecting everything. And they're having to sell at a loss or break even. But we're not really paying attention to both. We don't really pay attention to comps, and we're not paying attention to interest rates. Again, which makes it very unorthodox what we're doing. It's like even strange to say that, especially in these economic times, but it's just reality. It's reality. Like this is what we're living every single day. And if you do a deal with us, if you bring us a deal and we end up JVing, you'll see what we're talking about. Right now, at the height of fear and uncertainty, we're selling ranches like crazy.
One thing I really want to hit on too, and I kind of mentioned this a while back, but I think I'm the first. I've never heard of this anywhere, but think of the sales cycle for a house is 30 to 90 days. When the recession hits, it's longer. Land deals that we play with are already at like a 6-month sales cycle. So we're already playing at that long sales cycle. So all the people that are like, oh, it's getting longer on market. I'm like, we've been dealing with this since we started. Like a long sales cycle is what we've been dealing with since we started. So like we really haven't seen it hit us yet, or I don't know if it will or when it will. But we're already in that long sales cycle anyway because we're doing large land deals. So it's just one of the benefits that we're in is that it might not ever hit us,
I'm thinking it's not, man. And this is the reason. Usually when somebody sends us a land deal, they're like, "Oh man, I got to close in 3 weeks." I'm like, "How long did you lock this thing up for?" 30 days. Like, why did you lock up this land for 30 days? Like the minimum we're looking at is like 60 to 90. And now we've been pushing for 120 to 6 months. So if you have 6 months to find funding or find a buyer, it's going to be hard to struggle, and when you have spreads that are 400 or 600 or 800 or mil or 2 mil, there's plenty of incentive to work a deal for 6 months or a year. So again, it's like low urgency, low pressure. Actually, ask Teresa Wernette from My Title Company of Texas. That's where we do almost every single one of our deals. We've probably done like 60 transactions together. Ask her. I told her my golden rule is that if one of my people, buyers, sellers, wholesaler, anybody stresses you out, you have my permission to tell them you don't want their business. It's a very, very low pressure business that we run, very easygoing. Like I said, even though we're heading deep into a recession, we have several $1 million of profit in the pipeline right now for the first time ever. And it's pretty cool to think about. Again, like even if the recession does last 2 years, like we're going to have enough cash stacked up to last probably through it. Right. And that's not even including everything else that we have going on, more deals that are coming up. It's just a very unique place to be in at this time based on what we've been seeing from other real estate investors, seasoned real estate investors online. So we wanted people to know that are watching this podcast and that are paying attention to it and following the business model that I think we're in a pretty recession-proof space. I think what we're doing is amazing. Like I said, based on the spreads that we're working with, it's just like every reason to be in this business and not very many reasons to not be in this business. We don't have any ARVs or comps. Local San Antonio guru just posted on Facebook that he's losing out on 5 flips, right? And we don't have that problem because we don't have that many variables. The price of the land that we're selling is not tanking like houses, not yet anyway. John Alexander says it might be falling over the next year or two, but for now, it's like, man, everything's A-okay, and our spreads are so deep that even if the market fell, if it crashed pretty bad, like, man, we could probably still get out of this stuff at break even.
Yeah, because we're still getting stuff really, really cheap when it comes down to it. If anything, we'll have to lower it down to whatever the value is, because these are selling overvalue. So I don't know. I don't think it has affected us. It's kind of interesting to see, but for everybody watching, keep watching or hop in.
Yeah, or both.
Yeah. So one thing, you've kind of seen a lot of people come and go. It's kind of been interesting to see. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, when we first started HiveMind, when you start something like this, like you have your people, like your day ones, right? Mike Novak and all them. Like there's a lot of us that have been around since the beginning, Baskar. And then some people like drifted away. Like either they started doing good or they lost interest and they disappeared. So we're kind of seeing what some of them are doing. Some of them are doing.
You had people do really, really well and then they like disappear and do their own thing. So it's kind of interesting to see like how people contribute to the machine and then depart. Like, and it's really made Anthony like question like how do we organize this to keep people around longer, because we don't want to see people fall to the wayside or continue to, well, literally we had a client that we told them what to do. They did what they did, found success, and then stopped doing what we told them to do, and then they were mad because they weren't finding success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stick to the basics. I know even for ourselves too, like every now and then we'll see something in commercial. I just walked a 100,000 square foot building with Rose Tejado. So it's like you see something that looks amazing and you think should I venture off into that, but it's like we're going to stick to the basics. We're going to stick to what works. Large land deals, unrestricted land, and it's been a blessing, man. It's not slowing down. So it's something that we're going to probably run forever while we look at and see what other things that we can kind of venture off to. Speaking of that, we are launching a health segment of the podcast, probably for personal reasons too. I know myself building HiveMind last year, very little gym trips, gained more weight than I wanted to. It just wasn't feeling my best. This year I've been taking my health real serious again. So we're going to start launching some health stuff because I think people are learning a lot about business and focusing on their business. Not a whole lot of people focusing on keeping your body alive and keeping yourself healthy. So that's something that we're going to move heavily into in the near future. So you guys are going to start to see that on the podcast as well.
For everybody that doesn't know, we actually have like different segments within the show. You might think they're different, but we actually stagger them. So new episodes, like categories, we started between episode 2 to 300. The health mind, which is Anthony just mentioned. First deal story. Brittany Thompson brought in some episodes to contribute to just talking about people's first deal, and then deal breakdown and stream consciousness. Those have been we've had a lot of episodes that come out with that, and we kind of mentioned at the beginning. If you go to hivewithus.com, you can see the category of what episode that falls under, and they're all there for a reason. So like deal breakdowns, talking about cool and interesting stories that people had in their business or life. A lot of interesting ones we've had. If you haven't heard any of those, go check them out. They're pretty cool. They're a lot shorter, 10 minutes or less, 15 minutes or less, right around that time frame. And then stream consciousness has been me and Anthony, which we never really did episodes together, not for a while really. So we decided to start our own little segment of the show called Stream Consciousness. So it's just me and Anthony, or me talking about different things that are our opinions about certain topics, which is very interesting. We talk about like the power of arbitrage, the power of, I think we're talking about power of ROI. What's a good ROI? That's something we're working on next. There's a lot of cool stuff we're working on. Our own opinions about certain topics. So it's interesting. If you're interested in that, go check those out.
Yeah, I really like where those are headed, because what we do is a lot of times Daniel and myself, we're like brainstorming 24/7. And a lot of this stuff is like we're sharing good information back and forth, coming up with new ideas always. And we just never record any of that stuff. So like, man, some of this stuff needs to be podcasts, because we're covering a lot of stuff from like AI and automations and robots future, again, health, like sustainability for the planet, a bunch of cool stuff. And I think the direction that we're headed into, it's going to play a huge part in what the HiveMind stands for and what we're doing. So I think sharing more of that back end stuff is going to be amazing. So yeah, check out the stream consciousness episodes. We're going to be releasing a lot more of those.
So you want to talk about cool people we've had on, and maybe like a key takeaway that you remember from episode from 2 to 300? Because we had a lot of people on from 2 to 300. It's been pretty interesting.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the skip trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.1listguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.
So we've kind of had a lot of cool guests from 2 to 300. It's been pretty crazy. We stacked up a lot of good guests. I know we had some good ones 1 to 100, but 2 to 300 I think has been the best little spurt so far. And it's kind of funny because if you're into podcasting, they have like seasons. Season 1 is episode 1 to 100. Season 2 is 2 to 300, and season 3 is what we're about to start right now, season 3 to 4. I never understood the thing of seasons, so we're just make it every 100 episodes as a kind of comical, because people usually do like 20 episodes as a season and then they'll stop, almost like TV shows, and then they'll release a new season. I'm like, no, we're just gonna do 100 at a time.
Yeah. I think we're accelerating now too, because like I said, now I think we're actually both, well, I am enjoying this kind of stuff more, so it's been pretty cool. We want to talk about some of the guests that we've had on, right? Because when you ask some of these top performers, like, hey, can you hop on a podcast? It's kind of like, do they want to burn an hour out of their day, right, to just hop on the podcast? But we've had some really, really amazing guests on now.
So as far as like land people, we had Seth Williams, Eddie Speed. Seth Williams is episode 202. Eddie Speed is 250. Ryan Pineda talks about a really cool land deal he did on episodes 286 to 291. It's just a lot of cool stuff right there for people that are interested in land. We did one with Flipman where we kind of talked to Flipman. Actually interviewed us. He flipped the script on us on episode 246 and kind of interviewed us about land, and he was kind of interested in about land too. So I think we actually contracted a deal within a week with him, and I don't know how that deal went, but I'll have to follow up with him on that one. But it's kind of interesting having land conversations. Corey Geary, episode 214. Ron Rana, we did an episode with Ron Rana. I guess he had a book release, episode 221. He actually released that video on his podcast, on his YouTube channel, and he had 11,000 views like in a week. So pretty interesting what's going on here.
Yeah, I think we got some pretty cool stuff in the pipeline. We are looking to interview with Earn Your Leisure pretty soon. So that's something you guys want to keep an eye out for. We're going to start to look for, podcast guests that already have an audience and that are considered, I guess, to be up there. So we hope to bring you guys some amazing content in that area, right? So like I said, if you feel like you've already heard it all in this podcast, I think we have a lot more cool stuff up our sleeves. So we appreciate you guys going on for the journey with us.
I do want to mention Michelle Welch too. So Michelle Welch actually spoke at our event in the second annual Hive Mind event, which was in Fort Lauderdale. We did an interview with her in episode 248, but she actually got a speaking opportunity to speak in front of real estate agents coming up in 2023 in February in San Diego. So it's kind of cool, people getting opportunity off of Hive Mind, man. That's kind of interesting. And you don't even know who's going to get the opportunity or who's going to get deals. We did a couple of episodes with DeAndre, and DeAndre said he's gotten deals off of the podcast. So it's kind of cool hearing stories like that of just stuff circling back and benefiting him in the long run. I really want to mention this too, but using the podcast and YouTube channel to get deals.
Yeah.
So Anthony, I know you have like 2 or 3 stories about this one. What's your favorite one about that one?
Deal stories. Like I can't think of any one particular right now that stands out.
Using it for negotiation lately.
Negotiations?
Yeah.
I'm half asleep today I'm suffering from a cold right this second.
Since he's suffering from a cold right now, I've heard him on the phone talk to sellers and like, I don't even know who you are. And like, we got like 1,000 videos on YouTube. And he'll just drop that in there and like, I'll just send you a couple links. You can Google me.
Yeah. So I noticed that somebody whenever there's like a lack of trust, right? Some people are very untrusting when they're on the phone. Like, how do I know who you guys are? How do I know this isn't a scam? You think, right? If you're a wholesaler or if you're an investor and you're trying to buy at a discount, we talk a lot about it on the show. That if somebody goes and looks you up, they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're a wholesaler, man," or whatever. But no, it's actually been the complete opposite. So when somebody's like, "Yeah, how do I know you're the real deal?" I'm like, "Hey, yeah, go. I did like 1,000 YouTube videos. Go check me out. You can Google me." And then, sure enough, more than a few times, they've come back and they're like, "Okay, I'll do the deal." So whatever they're finding, right? They're going and just checking you out on in public. Then they're pretty excited about it. They're pretty looking forward to do business with it, I guess, because they see that we're public facing, that we have good intentions, that we're trying to do the right thing. And it's been a blessing, man. It's been really cool. Yeah, I think having a social media presence has been really, really cool. It's been very good for business, even on the partnership side. So people will reach out to us and say, "Hey, I've seen a bunch of podcasts or I've seen you guys on YouTube. How can I get involved?" Right? So they're ready to do business with us, even though they just came across us or we just met them in person, but now they've already been seeing the content long enough where they're ready to do some business with us. So just win all the way around. Like I said,
whether they're private money lending or bringing us a deal or want to help us out with Dispo, I don't know. It's kind of cool having those conversations. We think we talked about this with Steve Trang too. The benefit of the podcast in episode 225. We kind of talked about tokenization, and one of the questions we asked him was, what's the biggest benefit he had from doing the podcast? And his answer was like, it feels unreal to get the type of responses and leverage from the podcast that I should.
Yes, that's something that he mentioned. He said, he phrased it a very cool way that really stood out to me. He said that people from watching the podcast, he's like, they give me way more credit than I deserve, or something like that. Like where they found him on the podcast and they're like, dude, like they hold him in a very, very high light. And I think that's something that we're starting to see now too, is because we've been sharing the information for so long, open about sharing the information. Yeah, people are reaching out to us and they're ready to do business with us. They're ready to initiate because they've just been absorbing so much of the content for such a long time. So I am getting some of those vibes that Steve talked about. So I knew exactly what he was talking about when he said that.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because we had a similar conversation with Chad Doherty, which we did episode 293 and 296 with him. And he was like, he's like, you with the podcast and the YouTube channel and all the social media, you're forcing a footprint into the digital space. And for everybody watching, I hope you found the footprint.
Yeah, there's a company that I invested with years ago. It was called they would call it a digital footprint.
Yeah.
And I really love the terminology, but yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. Is we're creating a pretty massive footprint. So love us or hate us, we are impacting the industry. I said a completely unorthodox investment strategy that we're sharing openly. A lot of people that are that do have the information that we have and the knowledge that we have, they're not really sharing it openly. And we've just been doing it the whole time, and we're pretty proud of it. It's led to a lot of good things. We are launching a high ticket. I think we should talk about that.
Okay, let's talk about it, man. So high ticket, what qualifies you to charge so much? And I think there was a Facebook post that we saw recently. I'm not gonna call his name out, but he's like, his exact quote was, "If I don't know how gurus charge $15,000 for information, I would never do it."
You know, I thought that was the funniest post ever because that's a very specific mindset. I won't say it's bad or good, but you know, we've taught this information for free. That's such a long time, and now we do have those top, 1%, 5%, knowledge base now that we're not really openly sharing, and we are going to put up a little paywall because we found that people that get into our different masterminds, that since they get in there for so cheap, they're not really big action takers. And you have your standouts, right? Like PJ Winters and a few of them, Ruben Garcia. There's a few people that actually are going to take action and destroy it no matter what. But we felt like if we don't put up a strong paywall, that people are going to get involved. And I don't want to say they're wasting our time because we love helping people, right? But they call you and they bring you stuff and you spend a lot of hours with them and then they disappear. So the whole goal behind us, what's that?
We've seen that happen too, where they'll come in and participate and then make one big deal and then fall off.
Yeah, or they get a big deal and then they don't even share the deal with us. They just ghost. Yeah, so we've seen that in-house too. But either way, no hard feelings, but it is what it is. So we feel like if we do set up a paywall, a pretty substantial paywall, for one, that we would share, that last 1 or 5% of information with people, but also to make sure that the people that do come, they are committed and that we are going to actually do some deals with them. And that they are taking this business serious because we're dead serious about it. We spend a lot of time away from our loved ones, our wives and our kids to be able to bring these podcasts. So we just want that equal exchange of energy. But yeah, this guy's mindset for the 15,000, we've been teaching this information for free for a long time, but it's like, if I gave him 100% of what I know, I wouldn't even give him the information for 15,000. That's not enough. That's a first thought that came to my head, even though we've given it away for free a lot of times. But our lower tier, high ticket is going to be 25,000.
Plus, start right there. But the other thing is that we know we provide the value of a minimum of 25,000. One simple transaction. I think we talk about this too. Is that we've done multiple 6-figure deals that when we talk to other investors, they're like, "I got one," or the biggest deal is 60 or 50 or 90,000, like
100K.
And people that have hit a 6-figure deal, they might do one a year. They don't hit them consistently. So I think we have something to offer that isn't in the marketplace at all, nowhere else, to provide the ability to do 6-figure deals consistently. Like we're doing a deal right now. We might pay a wholesaler 6 figures just for bringing the deal.
multiple six figures, probably.
Multiple six figures just for bringing the deal. So for us, we're willing to pay out six-figure wholesale fees. That should tell you something.
Yep. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Like I said, 15 grand. Like if I had to give, if he was going to be like, I would never give you 15 to teach me what you know. It's like that's not even high enough, because we're about to teach you how we're making consistent multiple six figures. Now we're working on 2 deals that are going to be an M and above, 2 M's. And even though a lot of people are watching this or maybe listening to it, and they're like, oh, who cares? My cousin does commercial and he does 50 M's. Amazing. But we're doing these consistently is where the ticket is. Also, they're growing, right? We're going to go look at 5,600 acres in January. So we are looking at a lot bigger deals. So I know over time it's going to.
Here's the other thing too: risk, ROI. What ROI are you getting, and what risk are you putting up to get that ROI? That's the other thing too.
Yep.
Other people, well, and me and Anthony, we're going to kind of dive into this a little deeper in other episodes coming up. But what risk are you actually putting? What time are you actually putting? And what ROI are you actually getting to produce great returns? And I think what we're doing all 3 at a very high rate.
That's
The
another
time invested, ROI we're getting back, and money we're putting up.
minimal exposure. Right. So we've been seeing a lot of people posting and talking about how the people that were, swimming naked, right, now that the recession's hitting, that people are starting to get exposed. But Daniel and myself, we have no exposure. If worst case, if everything came crumbling down around us, we would just have to tell the property sellers, like, hey, we can't buy your stuff no more. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like, nobody's coming for our stuff. Nobody's foreclosing on anything. Nobody's taking away anything. There's no penalty payments. Like, we have zero exposure. So again, it's like you got to kind of weigh out. Yeah, there's probably way powerful gurus more than us. We interviewed Tim Bratz, right? Dudes buying islands and stuff, but we have no exposure, and that's kind of part of our business model, is through using creative and sub-2 and these kinds of things to buy these properties, multi-million-dollar properties. We have zero exposure. So again, that goes kind of like, I'm going to talk about the price point a little bit real quick.
Okay.
Because I mentioned it. Like I said, for 15 grand, like I wouldn't even give you the information I have for that, even though we've been giving it away for free, right? So again, I'm coming from a place of humility, but our lower tier is going to be 25,000. And the reason is like I said, like we just talked about, is that if you're going to give us 25 grand, we're going to teach you how to make $1 million on a deal. So if you don't see that exchange with zero exposure, if you don't see that exchange, then like, again, it's like, we're just looking for a different type of clientele, somebody that is that 25 might not be a lot of money for them. Right. And then we're setting up a $50,000 tier where you would be an affiliate for the high ticket. So you pay $50,000 and we'll build you out a duplicate of our exact same system, where you would be selling high ticket on our behalf and taking a lion's share of the proceeds. And then we have one more level that we're going to push at 100,000. That's for somebody who's already a seasoned investor that has been in real estate for a long time. And with that $100,000 buy-in level, we're actually going to take you along for a ride to actually do a real live deal with us. Your LLC is going to be on the deal, and you're going to be watching the whole entire step of the way. So you're going to be copied in all the emails to title, to the engineers, everything. Like, we're going to hold your hand and we're going to walk you through a multi-million-dollar deal at the 100K mark.
And there's more coming in with all those different levels. We're going to have that website built out and all the additions and incentives that come with each one of those categories. So that's just the main framework. We really want to make sure we provide a lot of value, and you will get your money's worth. And that a lot of people are like, and me and Anthony talked about this a little while back, but like, do we have the ability to produce results at what price point makes sense? And I think anybody charging over $15,000, going back to that one guy, anybody charging over $15,000 is stuff that isn't said in the open.
Yeah. And also, like I said, what we're doing is like, yeah, you can probably learn it. You can distill down the information if you watch 300 episodes of this, but it's a lot to put together. You do have some legal exposure if you don't know what you're doing. And again, like if you pay 100 grand and now we teach you how to make a 500 to $1 million consistently on these deals. Yeah. And then, it makes sense on a lot of different levels. So we're proud of it. Something that we're putting together. It's absolutely not necessary to learn from us. You can always bring us a deal and we'll JV with you and walk you down. So we don't want you to think that if you don't have access to that type of capital, that we're not going to help you. That's going to be something that we're going to do forever. But yeah, we are going to step it up real quick and launch a high ticket, because we're trying to put a group together of just elite level entrepreneurs that are dead serious about doing what we're doing, so we can continue to scale.
Because there's infinite opportunity.
Yeah, we're definitely playing in a blue ocean strategy. It's definitely not oversaturated. I don't think it's going to be for a very long time. People don't have the vision. They don't have the strategy. They're just kind of not clear on exactly what we're doing and how we do it. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very long time before people, catch up to us and piece together what we're doing. And then also we're always innovating, right? So everything that we've put together, we're building out an automation side of it, where by you marketing for both buyers and sellers, we're going to have a match feature where it's going to be automatically matching your buyers and your sellers with other people in the network, so that you can start to get some passive deals into your pipeline. So a lot of other cool stuff that we're building. We're never going to stop innovating. We're never going to stop learning and growing. So yeah, we're pretty proud of what we built, and this is just the beginning. We keep on saying that we're not even warmed up yet. Like, we're not even out of the locker room yet. We're just gearing up for the game.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of this meeting, like, it's been crazy, but we've only been in this 4 years, so we've learned a lot, and who knows what we'll learn next year and what we'll implement and add into whatever we're offering. So I think we've come a long way. And I know we can provide the value at that price point to other people, because we've seen people take what we've offered for less and produce off of it. So it's not an insulting price point. We know we have the value at that price point, and people pay more for college and they don't even use it, So it's really I think a bare minimum price point, and it might not be at that price point forever. Like we're talking right now, it's 25, 50, 100. It might be something different in the future. So if you're listening to this and you kind of missed what we started and where we're at, it might be at a higher price point like that. Like where this is going, I don't know how long we're going to do it. We might cut it off next year. Who knows?
Yep. We're starting to look at bigger deals, 30 million, 80 million. We're still learning the game ourselves, but yeah, sooner or later, 100 might not even sound like a stiff enough buy-in, right? If we start teaching you guys how to make 5 million or 10 million on a deal, again, yeah, you kind of got to move the goalpost if what we're bringing to the table and the knowledge base that we're bringing continues to grow. So yeah, I think we're proud of it. Like I said, I think we've given enough away for free. And now we just want to connect with those elite level investors or entrepreneurs that are ready to take their game to the next level and also help us grow. I mean, we learn a lot from the community.
We learn a lot by teaching.
Yeah,
we learn a lot by teaching. And then the other thing, I think the other thing is too, is like, if you want to learn Burr, if you want to learn flips, you want to learn all that stuff, go to another coach, go to another person that's teaching that stuff. There's plenty of people out there teaching that stuff out there. If you want to learn something different that you've never heard before, I think we're providing something different.
Yep. I think that's it, man. This was a good episode. I think it's a good wrap up for 300 episodes. Pretty cool to see like our projections based on what we thought HiveMind was going to do. It's running at full speed now. Podcast is picking up. YouTube channel is picking up. Our skill set is picking up. Our deal flow is picking up. So it's like, yeah, we're in the biggest and brightest stream of momentum that we've ever been in. And we hope you guys come along for the ride.
And I want to leave with a final note with a tweet that I tweeted out maybe like a week or 2 weeks ago. I tweeted out, if you can probably go find it on Twitter, but it was specific knowledge plus the podcast plus 2 years equals luck. So if you want to be lucky and join the Hive Mind and see what happens, it's really not luck. It's just a lot of hard work.
Yeah. 4 years of 90 hours a week, right? Luck.
So if anybody thinks we're lucky, we're not.
Yeah, they can go back. They can follow the journey. They can just scroll back on YouTube and see where we started, and you can see that, yeah, it's been nothing short of amazing. We're glad a lot of you guys are coming along for the ride. The quality of people that are coming into the community and contributing their time and energy, just nothing short of magic, and we're excited about where things are headed. Yep.
We'll see you on the next episode. 301. We'll see you on the next 100 episodes, man. It's going to be fun. See when that is. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye. Thanks for watching this YouTube video. We hope you found value. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to watch more videos just like this one.